guess we could tackle our stream right now. I was going to try to hold back on that, but we're going to tackle the stream. And I think, because this stream starts off back here, we're going to use a liner brush to start out with. I'm afraid to use anything bigger, actually. So, coming into titanium white with a liner brush. Just get a little titanium white on the end of your liner brush. We're going to come up here where this kind of where the stream starts, back here. Let me set my palette down. I think I need to brace my hand here. Okay, that's about where the water's coming down. So let's grab a little bigger brush now. Switching from the liner to that little filbert brush we just used to put the highlights on the boulders. Same one. Make sure it's dry. Okay. Titanium white on our brush. Grab some more. Just pulling down very lightly. Some more. If you get a little glob of white on there, like I just did, it creates some cool effects halfway down the waterfall. So it's all good. If there's too much white on there, just barely take your brush and flick it down, and you'll spread some of that white out. I'm just tapping up here on this stream. Give it a little effect. Okay, back to my liner brush, into the titanium white. I'm going to put a couple streaks of white where the water's kind of getting crazy, coming outside the flow of things here. Let's grab our fan brush. I want to create some splash effects. I could do it with the filbert. We're going to try the fan brush. In a waterfall like this, with this high of a drop, there'd probably be some mist happening. And the way I would create that, and I might do it in a few days, let this whole thing dry, let your painting dry, and go back over it with some of that liquid white that we used up here, and just swirl a little bit of that, and you'll still see the rocks behind it without mixing the rock color. So I would let this dry, and we'll probably do that. So I'm not going to worry about the mist effects right now, but we can do that after this is dry. Thinking this needs to be a little bit bigger pool that this water's dropping in. I should have put more black gesso around this to make a little pool, but I do have midnight black. So if I come back here and add midnight black and make this a little bigger, now the pool becomes bigger. Go back to my titanium white and bring the swirls out a little more. That pool just got bigger. I'm going to start out with a liner brush in case this goes horribly wrong. I want to be able to stop. So I'm going to use a liner brush. We shall see what happens here. I want to add some blue into this stream bed, and the reason I did these rocks and the black gesso, and then to get the rocks, I used black and white gesso and mixed those up. The reason I did that was I was hoping to paint blue around them or over them, and because Prussian blue is transparent, you would see the rocks under the water. That was the idea. Also, sap green is supposed to be semi-transparent. Phthalo green, which I have over here. You know what? I might put a little phthalo green on here and see what that looks like too. Okay, I've got some phthalo green on my palette. I don't think I've ever used phthalo green, but we're going to try it. It sounds cool, and it says it's a transparent, semi-transparent color. So what I'm going to do with this phthalo green is come around the bottom of some of these rocks. That's kind of a cool looking green. Just putting it in here and there. We're going to throw some blue in here too and see what we get, you know. I don't know. Like I said, we're experimenting with this, which is why I wasn't going to film this. I started this last night, and about halfway through the trees and the boulders, I set the camera up and just thought, well, I better capture it. I better capture the moment in case it turns out good. You never know. Definitely a different kind of a green. I guess we're all in now because I just keep using it. I just can't stop. Somebody stop me. Okay, let's switch over. You know what? I'll probably just go into Prussian blue. It'll mix with this phthalo green. All right. Let's see what our Prussian blue looks like. And I'm going to come in between the rocks for right now over the black. So I'm going to fill in some of this black area with the blue over the top, which you won't see very much. Grab my bigger brush, switch from the liner to the next size, which is a small filbert. And we're going to start getting crazy now, staying with Prussian blue. So I'm thinking this big one needs to pop up above the water. So does this one, this one, this one, this one, a couple of them. The rest of them are going to be underwater. And I should be able to fill in everything else, all the little rocks and boulders and underneath the water. Keeping away from the ones that we want sticking up. And I think this one's under. This one's under. Under. You have to make a decision. You know, I drew all these little rocks and boulders, but I drew some bigger ones. And I figured the bigger ones would pop above the water, and these little ones would be underwater. And the idea was once I put blue over the top, or blue and green, that you would still see these rocks under the water. That was the idea. You know, there's some interesting videos on YouTube with old masters techniques that I've been watching. I don't understand it all. Again, no painting classes or anything, but there's some really cool videos on how they would use glazing. And I was like, what's glazing? basically taking a transparent oil paint like Prussian blue, alizarin crimson, something like that. Again, you look on the tube and if it says transparent, and you let your painting dry, and you can take that Prussian blue and go over the top of your already blue, or you could put blue over these boulders once they're dry. And it creates, they call it glazing. It's still transparent. You'll still see the boulders underneath, but you change the tone, the color. It creates all kinds of strange effects. And some of the old masters, Rembrandt and some of these painters that I think are just amazing. I don't know how to do that. But they used to use glazing, and they would do 50, 60 coats of blue on a lady's dress to get that deep, deep blue or a red or an alizarin, like an alizarin crimson. That's how they achieve that effect where you look at some of the old master paintings, old masters, and you're just like, wow, it just looks realistic. One of these days, maybe I'll learn how to do that. But we could theoretically glaze this stream several times. And, maybe I'll do that and update this episode and show you how it comes along. All right. Now, white is not a transparent color. As much as, here's what I'm worried about. If I start putting white over here like the river is moving and rushing, then I cover up my rocks and my boulders. And I'm not sure I want to do that just yet. Not just yet. So let's leave the river alone for right now. Let's see what we're going to do here. And I have an idea for these two sides. And we're going to be using Van Dyke brown, a little darker brown, and then the dark sienna, which is a lighter brown. And we're just going to be adding color. So let me go into this Van Dyke brown, which is a dark brown. And I think this is going to be some grassy area. That's what I'm going for in this area. Maybe some trees, most likely some trees, to create some depth and distance. Now, let's come into our other brown, which is the dark sienna. A little different tone. And we're going to add that in some of these white parts that we left alone. Just gives us a couple different colors of brown. And the reason why we're putting brown on, you're probably saying, I thought you said grass, Rob. I did say grass. But in order to have your green and shadows and shades show up, you have to have dark first. And then we're going to put the grass on top of it. You'll see. I hope. I hope this turns out. All right. Almost done with this. I'm just going to go right into this where the acrylic, the black starts, and this brown ends. And I'll bring that up to the water's edge. We'll figure out what to do when we get there. Okay. Well, we filled in color, that's for sure.